Hey guys, how's it going? It's Calvin Raab, and this is going to be a fun video because in this video, I'm going to test some of your financial knowledge. I'm going to see how much you know, and I'm going to do that by going over 7 common myths that are out there. So these are myths that oftentimes we're told as kids, and even as we grow up, we're still told that. And even as adults, a lot of people still believe it, but they are actually just myths. So I'm going to go over all 7, talk a little bit about them, and by the end, you'll have a good idea of what the 7 myths are and kind of why they're myths and they're not true. So let's get into it. Let's jump into what the first myth is that is very important to be busted. And if you're new here, my name is Calvin Raab. I make videos all about personal finance. So if you're interested in anything like that, I would love it if you would subscribe. The first myth that I want to go over is cash is king. And this is probably one of the most common phrases said in personal finance. However, it is a myth. And the reason is, suppose you did follow it. Suppose you did hoard all your cash, you didn't send it anywhere, you just held it all in your room, under your bed or something like that. Well, in actuality, that cash is losing money every single month because inflation's going up, say maybe around 2%. So if you have $100 in there, it's only worth 98 the next year, and it's only keeps going down and down. So this idea that cash is king is actually losing you money. And there's this idea that as soon as you send your cash out, you're destined to lose. The markets are against you, and everything's too risky. And that's not really true because you can control your risk in the stock market. You can check my video about how I did that. But that is the first myth, that this idea of cash is king, it's not a good idea. And if you follow it, you're actually losing money. So at least, at bare minimum, have your savings, have that cash in a high APY savings account that's at least making you something. That way you're not actually losing money every single year because of inflation. So at least get it in a high APY savings account to make a little bit of something off of that money. The second money myth I want to talk about is that you have to be frugal to be rich. And that certainly is a myth. I always say that you can't be wealthy just by saving your money. And really the only people that could do that if they're making a ton of money and they just can put it in a bank account. But for most people, if you just save your money, you're not maximizing your opportunity to be wealthy. So for instance, if your goal was to make $1 million and you saved $100 a day, that's a lot of money. $100 a day you're saving. Well then, if you just put that in a bank account, it would take you around 27 years before you got to that $1 million mark. If you were saving $100 a day and you were putting that, investing into the stock market, say just at 7% into any index, on average, the stock market goes up about 7% every single year, year over year. Of course, some years it's down, some years it's up. But if you invested there, then it would only take 16 years before you got to $1 million. That's a big jump from the 27 million. Plus now you're gonna benefit from compound interest. Every year after that, you're making a whole lot more and a whole lot more. So you don't just want to save it. Yeah, you want to save it, but you also want to invest it. So saving is important, but it's only half the equation. You can't save your way to riches and wealth. If that were true, then all the billionaires and millionaires, they wouldn't be investing at all. No, they would just be saving it all. But no, they know that if they just go and invest it, they'll make a lot more. So don't just save your money, invest it as well. And here's the beauty of compound interest. If you invested that money, kept doing $100 a day, after 28 years, which is 1 year more than that 27 that we had if you weren't investing, after 28 years, you have around $3 million. So if you compare the two, after 27, 28 years, if you didn't invest it, you now have $1 million, but if you did invest it, you now have $3 million. Both of them saved exact same amount, but one of them just invested it, and now they have $2 million more than the individual who didn't invest anything. The third myth that is out there is that retirement planning starts later. A lot of people don't even start thinking about retirement until retirement's about 20 years away, which seems like a while, but if you just are really into personal finance, you can really take advantage of just retirement accounts if you start early. So you really should start planning for retirement in your 20s. And I know that sounds crazy, but you can. I actually have a video out there about how you can just start getting ready for your retirement in your 20s. Retirement accounts, they really benefit from compound interest. That's how you grow your wealth. So if you just start out, even just 10 years earlier than everyone else, you'll have 10 years of compound interest that others won't. So retirement planning does not start later. No, it starts as young as you possibly can. If you're watching this video, I'd recommend looking at some retirement account today, seeing what you can do, and just look into Roth IRAs, 401ks, just start looking at something, because the best time to start is going to be today, because compound interest relies on time, and you want to have as much time as possible before you retire. Number 4, and this is one I hear all the time, and that is the stock market is too risky. This is something that is kind of sad, because a lot of people truly believe this myth, and it's no fault of their own. They've been told it all their life, but because they see the stock market as being too risky, they never invest, or they only invest all the money that they are completely willing to lose. Whereas it is a myth for a reason, because in the stock market you can control your risk. Now, I can make a whole video on this. In fact, I did. I made a whole video about how to control your risk in the stock market. You can go check that one out. But there are ways you can control your risk in the stock market. So many see people taking huge risks, huge gambles in the stock market, and see them losing it all, and they're like, that's why I will not get in the stock market. No, that's a very just strange circumstance. You can control your risk in the stock market, choose safe, conservative portfolios, and it won't be that risky. Number 5, and this is one that is a big debate on YouTube, and that is credit cards are bad. That is the myth that I see. And this is one that there are a few famous YouTube accounts that are out there. I'm not going to say any names, but they certainly perpetrate this whole myth and push it onto a lot of people, and a lot of them have good facts to back them up. However, there is another side to it. There are good sides to credit cards, and I have to emphasize this by saying, if you really want credit cards to be good for you and not bad for you, then you just have to be responsible, because it's important to remember that these banks, they're betting on you being irresponsible. They're betting on you spending extra money, not being able to pay it back. That's what they want you to do. But if you are responsible with your money, you know how to control what you buy, control just you can have delayed gratification and different things like that, control your spending, then you can take advantage of the rewards that credit cards offer. So if you just pay it off in full every single month, don't buy anything extra that you wouldn't buy normally on a debit card, then you can basically live your same life. However, now you're getting rewards for things that you were buying. So it is a complete myth that all credit cards are completely bad. For some people that may be irresponsible, new to money and all that, not really understand it, then yeah, that myth may be true for them, but it's certainly not an umbrella myth that applies to everyone. I take advantage of credit cards, and I think if you're responsible, you should as well. Number 6 is that all debt is bad. Now, this is something that you hear everywhere you really go, and it is kind of a debate. However, yes, there are bad sides of debt, and there is bad debt, but at the same time, there's also good debt. So for instance, for me, in the next couple years, I am going to go in debt a fairly large amount, and I'm so excited, because it's not going to be a bad thing. I'm going to be going in debt by buying a rental property. So when you go and take out a mortgage, you are going in debt. You are in debt to the bank. When you put 20% down, you take a loan out for 80% of that home value, that is debt. However, that is good debt, because on a rental property, I can be leveraging my money, getting a more expensive house, getting all the benefits of that more expensive house, whether it be rental income, appreciation, tax losses, or different tax write-offs and different things like that. So you can use debt as a good thing, and you want debt to work in your favor. So not all debt is bad. I am someone who enjoys personal finance, knows a decent amount about it, and in the next few years, I am going to be going in debt. However, on that note, there is bad debt. You know, there is consumer debt. We see credit card debt, and oftentimes a lot of student loan debt. Those are instances of bad debt, because they're not helping you in any way. However, debt can be something that helps you. So the idea that all debt is bad is certainly a myth. Number 7, and this is a common myth in the form that it's usually used as an excuse as to why people aren't starting to get investing. And that is, you have to be rich to invest. And that's certainly not the case. Maybe it was 20, 30 years ago, back when commissions were sky high and different things like that. But now the internet has opened up so many opportunities. Most big brokerages now actually have 0 commissions. You can probably thank Robinhood for that, for popularizing that and making everyone else kind of do the same thing. So thank you, Robinhood, for that. But this idea that you have to be rich to invest is completely false, because even if you want to buy more expensive stocks like Amazon, which is around $2,000 in that ballpark, then you can buy fractional shares. You can go to places like M1 Finance and I can buy a partial share of Amazon for say $10 or something like that. There are all these different ways, you can get into ETFs and for a cheap price, and stocks aren't that expensive. So this idea that you need to be rich to invest is certainly not the case. Yes, the wealthy have an advantage because compound interest is going to be making them a lot more than it's going to be making you in relation to how much money you guys have. But as far as getting into the markets, it's open for anyone and everyone on any budget, really. So that is a complete myth that you have to be wealthy to invest. So that will wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you have any other myths, what are some other financial myths that you see out there? I would love it if you would comment that below. I'll be going through there. I'll be talking to you guys. I look forward to see what you guys are talking about, because it's important that these myths get busted, because we don't want this misinformation being spread any further than it already has. So let us know in the comments below. I'm sure there's some that I forgot, so let us know. Let's talk about it. But all in all, that will wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. So I'm going to move to the corner of your screen here. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you are going to see my most recent video. And if you look in the lower left-hand corner, you're going to see a video that YouTube and I each think that you would like. And if you haven't yet, you can hit my face right here and subscribe. As always, my name is Calvin Raab, and I'll see you soon.